Open your eyes. Have you seen that before in a gift shop?
Teach me.
No.
Even when you speed this logo up, it feels like forever. Maybe it is? Do I exist?
You sped the damn logo up to where it was like 4 seconds, for Christ's sake. Are you trying that hard to be a millennial?
They're here to steal a page from a book, so was the ceremonial-looking decapitation really necessary?
Asking superfluous questions, and because you don't receive an answer, treat this as a sin cliche.
In 2016, audiences were delighted to see Inception 2 in theaters, which they weirdly called Doctor Strange. I mean, strangely called Doctor Strange.
Do I even need to say it? Okay. Jeremy makes a pop culture reference. Oh, wait, I was able to say the whole word this time, thinking I was going to cut myself off in the editing process.
Like Harry Potter, this movie will never stop to explain what the motions really do or whose motion should be outweighing whose.
Who the fuck cares? If you want to know what the motions do in Harry Potter, how about you read those things that you claim don't matter? Nobody has time to sit through a movie trying to explain every intricate detail that you think people care about. Seriously, you just asked for an explanation for hand gestures in a comic book movie about magic.
These hologram blades do hologram damage to the bad guys.
Jeremy points out things that are happening on the screen cliche.
She's definitely visible to this lady on the right, so what gives, yo? Some rules, maybe? I bet you're going to tell me that will come later, but I have my doubts.
I seriously fail to see why you're sinning this. You're saying that because this lady can see the Sorcerer Supreme, this is somehow a sin? Do you think that she's supposed to be invisible here? Jeremy doesn't know shit about anything.
What is it?
GSW.
For the record, Doctors of the World, GSW literally has 2 more syllables than the phrase it stands for, gunshot wound. Just saying, y'all don't seem very smart with this particular abbreviation.
This has confirmed my long-held suspicions that Jeremy uses Quora to come up with sins. Don't believe me? Look at this post from 2013. This basically says what he said about syllables nearly word for word. My thought process has always been that if he didn't know something, he'd Google and head for the nearest Quora page, and this is exactly what he did for this one.
Dr. West, cover your watch.
Okay, aside from further humiliating this ER doctor guy, this scene exists to show how good Strange's hearing is, I guess.
Yeah, no. He's in the middle of a brain surgery to remove a foreign object. He needs complete silence because any false move can seriously mess up the person he's operating on. When you attain near complete silence, small, constant sounds like the ticking of a watch are amplified and can be very distracting.
Goddamn, I do fucking love the New York skyline. Is that the fucking Avengers Blue Jay building? Fucking hell.
Yes. Yes, it is. I'm waiting on the explanation on why this is a sin, and because I know I'll never get one, here's one for just pointing things out on the screen.
Listen, if you have a watch drawer, fuck you. If your watches inside said watch drawers are all spinning as though each is trying to get your attention to get you to pick them, you're vainer than whoever Carly Simon wrote You're So Vain About.
These are mechanical watches, which means they require motion to make them work. The spinning of the watch winders keeps them working. All the money CinemaSins has and you don't have a nice watch, Jeremy? Even Meek Mill has a Rollie.
By the way, where is this out in the middle of nowhere mountainous region close to New York City? Did he drive upstate?
I mean, sure, that's possible. You're asking a question and treating it as a sin again. The answer to your question is no, though. That's Westchester, New York.
This guy is driving 80 miles an hour on a curvy road in the mountains, passing people in clear no-pass zones, and he still looks at the x-ray. How did crashing not happen well before this? Also, he survives this.
I'm not going to champion reckless drivers because fuck reckless drivers. They legitimately destroy people's lives. But from all the other scenes that they've shown on this road, there's a clear lack of drivers, and you can't tell me that you don't do 75 on the 405 at 2 a.m. Or is that just me?
No one could have done better.
I could have done better.
Tragedy irony.
Jeremy continues to not know what irony means.
Strange asks his physical therapist, sarcastically, if he's ever known anyone to have this much nerve damage yet still recover. And dude says yes, and tells him about Benjamin Bratt. And it's a f***ing miracle and a half that the only dude to do this, because he went to the temple of whatever, somehow had the same physical therapist as Strange. Movie should have just had the temple order recruit his ass. This, oh yeah, there was this one guy bullshit, kind of insulting actually.
Not really. People win the lottery all the time. Just because there's a high statistical chance of something not happening doesn't mean that these things don't happen. There are 7 billion people on this Earth, and the Earth just happened to be formed by chance in the habitable zone of the solar system. 7 billion people are lucky to be here, but there are 7 billion people here. Think about it.
I'm not getting any better!
But still, as sad as that is, you drove yourself off a cliff by driving like an asshole late at night in the mountains. I mean, exactly how much empathy is this movie expecting me to have with this entitled sourpuss?
I'm not really sure, but that doesn't mean his feelings aren't valid. He's still a human being. We still treat criminals humanely, more or less. And sure, he's an ass for driving that way, but he's saved how many countless lives, and now we're supposed to just throw him in the trash for making a mistake?
So Doctor Strange went looking for Pangborn, and movie skips over the part where Strange was able to track him to this afternoon pickup basketball game that is apparently inside a cage underneath an interstate or some shit. Point is, movie skips over some impossible detective work to avoid showing how impossible it was.
Honestly, I tire of your calls for exposition or explanations only to complain when you receive those explanations. Do you expect us to believe that you really wanted to see Doctor Strange tracking down Pangborn in a montage, something you've sinned other movies for, only to then later reach this exact same scene, thereby making the film longer unnecessarily? Because
I don't believe you.
Cabotage.
I can see some sort of lucky break like this happening, but what the f*** is Mordeaux doing here in the marketplace today? He's just standing around, hoping to hear someone ask about a place where he works, I guess.
I just want to point out this obvious audio splice.
What's Mordeaux doing here in the marketplace today? He's just standing around.
It's like, are you really that lazy that you couldn't just do another take?
White guy in Kathmandu, confronted by 3 attackers, f***ing punches one of them with his recently surgically reconstructed hand.
I just don't see the significance of Strange being white here. Like, what did that add to the sin?
Forget everything you think you know.
I'd like to forget this line of dialogue, since it appears in roughly 1 of every 6 movies.
Well, that just seems a touch hypocritical.
Thank you, Ancient One, for seeing me.
You're very welcome.
Why the f*** would you go through all this just to make a random stranger think someone else was the Ancient One, if you were just going to introduce yourself immediately anyway?
They didn't go through anything. What are you talking about? The guy was just sitting there minding his business and reading. Strange assumed that he was the Ancient One.
Mr. Strange?
Doctor, actually.
Well, no, not anymore, surely. Isn't that why you're here?
Well, no, actually. He's probably still a doctor by degree and experience. It's just that his hands don't work anymore. I'm quite sure he came here to get his hands working again, not to become a doctor again, since that label surely never left.
She means a practicing doctor, and you know that's what she means.
Oh, cool, a butterfly. But even in this astral dimension, how does the butterfly live in space? Or am I missing the point? I'm probably missing the point.
Acknowledges that he's missing the point, sends the movie anyway.
Is only one of an infinite number.
Oh my sh**. I just realized how Marvel intends to keep its MCU properties going perpetually, using these Doctor Strange infinite universes, and that's bad. It opens the door to the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse.
Heavily disagree. This, if true, not only allows the actors to gracefully leave the franchise, but it also allows different interpretations of the characters like in the actual comic books. And this opens the door to Spider-Verse.
To pad the runtime, the Ancient One's compound goes all Fight Club for a few minutes.
Not that I disagree with this pop culture reference, but this proves what I said earlier about Jeremy sending movies for padding the runtime.
The language of the mystic arts is as old as civilization.
That sentence literally means nothing.
You sure about that? Because normal people took that to mean that magic that they practice has been around as long as human civilization has. But you're not normal, are you?
How do I get from here to there?
How did you get to reattach severed nerves and...
Study and practice, years of it.
The Ancient One suggests it will take years of study and practice for Strange to master this art, but the movie will suggest he does it in mere months, because the movie is cheating.
She's not suggesting anything. The question was meant to explain that it is a matter of devoting oneself to their craft and getting better with practice.
I control it by surrendering control? It doesn't make any sense.
You must not have seen the Matrix movies, or Harry Potter 8, or Star Wars.
We're not even sure you've seen them with the nonsense you've said about those films.
I just don't understand how you can be the chief librarian of a magic training complex, and this is something that any asshole can do if they feel like it. Why aren't there any other defensive measures in this place?
Because most people that come here respect the rules that they have in place, and Steven is basically a rogue. And I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but Wong is wearing headphones and reading.
Also, somebody doesn't hear anything going on because they're wearing headphones cliché.
So you did notice that he's wearing headphones. Got it.
When he first came to us, he lost everyone he ever loved.
Fight's position.
I don't know what's worse, These bullshit made-up words, or the fact that you send exposition even though you ask for it constantly?
What's weirder, that he gets full internet access in the training dojo, or the fact that he sends emails with the largest font imaginable?
Why are you pretending that you didn't know he gets internet access when you tried to send the Shambhala scene earlier?
What's this, my mantra?
The Wi-Fi password.
Haha, that's funny. But why would you give him a card with a strange word on it and not tell him it's the Wi-Fi password as soon as you give it to him?
Yep, Jeremy feigns ignorance cliche.
Well, heroes like the Avengers protect the world from physical dangers.
Not a Marvel movie if we don't spend a lot of time talking about other Marvel movies.
Sinning the Marvel movies for being like the Marvel comics. Also, aren't you the same asshole that constantly whined about Nick Fury not calling the Hulk to help Cap fight in the Winter Soldier? Seriously, I don't know what you want. You complain when things happen, and then you complain when things don't happen. Fucking pick a side and stick to it. You cannot have it both ways.
We sorcerers safeguarded against more mystical threats.
Why can't you also use your powers to protect it from physical dangers again? Where were you during all the times the world was in total danger? You don't think they could have used some magic outside of Scarlet Witch?
You just heard Wong state that
The Avengers protect the world from physical dangers.
A being of infinite power and endless hunger. On a quest to invade every universe. And he hungers for Earth most of all.
But somehow this being of infinite power can't crack sanctum magic.
because the Sanctum magic is also powerful? I mean, I don't see an inconsistency here.
Okay, this movie just showed us doors that transport them from their dojo to one of the 3 sanctums on Earth. Now, inside one of those sanctums, Strange finds some more instant transport doors. All of which is kooky to me, since we already saw that they can use a glowy orange spell thingy to transport. So why do they need all the f***ing magic doors?
Remember these? Yeah, lose this and then try to make a glowy orange spell thingy.
They killed the master of this place immediately with a sword fight, but Strange, who is super inexperienced, they take a bunch of time just to f*** with him. Why?
That's because the master tried to fight and Strange is running away.
Once again, people with superpowers end up making this a fist fight, with a few kicks thrown in.
Well, how do you suggest they fight? With words? Scathing blog posts? Or do you want to see them use their powers to fight, like they've been doing this entire time?
Many becoming the few, becoming the one.
Man, he totally butchered that Wrath of Khan quote.
Jeremy makes a pop culture this laugh.
Wait a minute, is this movie saying she can't see the 2 astral projections fighting? So why could she clearly see Strange when he was helping her operate on it? This is known as playing fast and loose with the rules.
Do you see this glass-like stuff behind Strange in this frame? I mean, do I really need to explain this?
So physical voltage translates directly to astral projection strength, for some reason. Honestly, this might be the most baffling thing in this movie. I mean, he f***ing exploded that guy's ghost, and it caused the real-world bad guy's forehead to smolder. That's bonkers.
Comic book movie. Magic. You. Stupid.
And I talked to someone called the Ancient One, and
So you joined a cult?
Wait a minute, you can't be this dismissive about Strange when you just saw him as an astral projection a minute ago. You can't suddenly turn into Dana Scully after you bore witness to f***ing magic.
The irony of this statement. This is exactly what you've been doing this entire time.
Also, holy that thing is indefinite? He has to manually shut it down? Why didn't the movie explain this better when they spent about 15 minutes on this
Wouldn't this count as the movie explaining it? Again, I bring up the fact that you send the movies for padding the runtime, but constantly beg for it.
You defended the New York Sanctum from attack.
Through sheer f***ing luck.
So what?
While I give the movie points for visual ingenuity, they've basically created a finale fight where literally anything can happen, which is the biggest cheat of all.
magic.
I think the mirror dimension is one big middle finger to CinemaSins.
The Birdman, you mean? The Birdman is one big middle finger to CinemaSins.
Strange realizes his shaky hands are bad, and finally concedes to the inferior surgeon he hated earlier. This is supposed to show growth, but honestly, if his hands weren't shaking, he'd still have insisted on doing the surgery himself. He has not grown at all, really.
Yeah, that's not true. Learning to trust others is the growth that he is displaying here. He could very well use magic to perform the surgery, but him not even thinking of that and instead relying on the other surgeon shows immense growth.
Choose your weapon wisely.
Seems like these guys have multiple warriors who can protect a sanctum, so why did the Manhattan branch employ one dude?
Well, without putting any thought into this explanation, my answer is that because the New York Sanctum was attacked, they've doubled their efforts to protect this one.
You're on the wrong side of history, Wong.
Or maybe, dare I say it, the Wong side of history? I'll give myself 5 cents for that.
Hey, that's my job.
In the end, is this any different from Superman flying around the world to reverse time? Yes it is, but I still want to complain about it. Mainly because there are supposed to be consequences to using this power, and apparently there are none.
Actually, you just aren't aware of the consequences yet. This directly leads to Mordo becoming the villain he is in the comics, setting up future Doctor Strange films to deal with this.
In case you confused it for, usually I have something to say on shots like this.
Okay, but why are you sinning it? This is really stupid. They haven't put up the location on the screen for your running gag, so you're sinning a scene for being a scene.
We could have seen this in the Doctor Strange sequel, right? I don't know. This end credit scene thing has its purpose, for sure. Get you excited about the next movie. That's salesmanship. I just don't know the purpose of getting excited about a movie that won't come out for, hell, even Marvel doesn't know when that's happening.
Negative. This is Marvel doing what has earned them so much goodwill with their audience, taking their time to set up the ever-expanding cinematic universe. The DCEU has been heavily criticized and panned for doing exactly what you're suggesting that they do. So this is a case of Jeremy doesn't know shit about comic movies. And neither does WB.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Flawless victory.